I used to see her every morning. An old woman, frail yet dignified, sitting at the bus stop at the end of the street. She always sat on the same bench, her hands gently holding a small, tattered photo. She never boarded a bus. She never seemed to be waiting for anyone. Or at least, that's what I thought, until one day, I stopped and asked her. I still remember that moment. I walked up to her, hesitated for a second, then softly said, "Auntie, why do you sit here every morning?" She looked at me with kind eyes, smiled, and said, "My son, he might come home today. I have to be here." At first, I didn't understand. She seemed so certain, so full of hope. Her son, Arjun, had left for the army years ago. He used to write her letters, always ending with, "Ma, one day, I will return." And so, she waited. She waited through summers and winters. Through scorching heat and freezing cold. She waited when the streets were empty and when the world was too busy to notice. Because to a mother, waiting isn't a choice. It's what love does. One evening, as the sky turned golden, I sat beside her. I had heard whispers. People said her son was missing in action. That he wasn't coming back. And yet, there she was. Still waiting. I gathered the courage to say it. "Auntie, it's been years. Maybe it's time to stop waiting." She turned to me, her voice steady but filled with something I couldn't quite describe. "No, Beta, he will come home. He promised." And I had nothing to say. Because how do you argue with a mother's love? Then one morning, everything changed. She was sitting at the bus stop, as always, when a voice called out. A voice she hadn't heard in years. "Ma." She froze. Her hands trembled. And when she turned, her heart must have stopped for a moment. Because standing there, was her son. Arjun. Older, his face lined with scars, his uniform slightly worn, but alive. I watched as she got up, her frail body moving faster than I had ever seen. She cupped his face, just as she must have done when he was a boy. Her lips quivered. "Arjun, is it really you?" And with tears in his eyes, he whispered, "Ma. I told you I'd come back." She sobbed. Held him like she would never let go again. And at that moment, I realized something. A mother's love never stops believing. A mother's heart never gives up. Because no matter how long it takes, love always finds its way home.